Hey, I'm Kelli Michelle with Keep Moving Forward Fitness and Nutrition, and today I'm here interviewing Joshua Tustin, and we're going to talk about his journey to better overall health and fitness. So, welcome, Joshua.
Thank you.
So, hey guys, we're here to get weird. Here.
No.
Yep. So, Joshua, when you started with KMF, what things had you already done in the past as far as fat loss? Or going into a fat loss phase, or training, or anything along the lines of health and well-being?
It'd probably be easier to talk about the things that I didn't do. I've tried pretty much every diet that exists. The most consistent I was able to be, I did keto for like a month, but I didn't work out when I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really tie in the whole health and wellness side of it. And it was all just strictly a diet.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no mental aspect to it. It was just, this is what I'm going to eat. This is what I'm not going to eat. I've tried so many different things, groups, things like similar to like a Weight Watchers.
Mm-hmm.
I had men's groups, met with people like support groups, all these things, spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to lose weight. Bit of backstory, I've been over 200 pounds since I was 11 years old. When I was 12, I was about 5'8", so I was tall,
Yeah.
which was nice because I was huge.
It helps.
Yeah, I was 220 pounds
Mm-hmm.
when I was 12.
Did the mask go on at that point? Or
Oh,
was
I
it
went on
much
before
earlier?
that. Yeah. When I think back to sort of when it really became noticeable, at around 10 years old, I stopped taking my shirt off in public, things like that. I stopped swimming, which is an activity I actually very much enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think back, it's just such a sad thing that I was 10 years old and I started to hate myself at that young of an age.
I just talked about that last night. We did a live, and the average American and Canadian child is usually very conscientious about the way they look at just under the age of 11.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's just, I think, especially hard right now with social media.
Yeah.
And it's especially, difficult when the parents also are now not married much anymore.
Yeah.
We have a lot more single family homes, kids not having a demonstration of whether or not, mom and dad are healthfully, communicating back and forth with one another. There's maybe not a whole lot of love there. And so the child is making up for that or overcompensating, or the parent is and teaching the child that. And so would you like to get into a little bit of where, what you've discovered psychologically with your journey? And let's say we introduced training after we had a little bit of a handle on the psychology behind dieting, right?
Yeah. It was about 3 months before we started training.
And it was not me. It was a conscientious decision that you decided to make.
I forgot about that, yeah.
You decided to
did.
make it. I didn't make it.
Go me.
Yes. Go ahead. And this is truly something that I don't see very often either as a nutrition professional, is that somebody would receive the program,
mm-hmm.
look at it, say, I'm going to do this, and then not struggle with any aspect of it.
That actually surprised me too. As I said earlier, I've been a part of so many different things, and the longest I've been consistent is about a month.
Mm-hmm.
So doing this, part of it was the mental commitment that I had to make. So one of the first things that I was asked to do was to take a photo of myself shirtless and send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And just that much of a leap of discomfort. I used to have panic attacks, literal panic attacks, just thinking about going to a beach, taking my shirt off, or dealing with people saying, oh, why are you swimming in a shirt? We don't care. It's not about what other people say. It's about how I feel.
Yeah.
And I started to realize that also works on the good side. It's about how I feel. So if I feel that I'm going to commit to this and I don't, and I let myself down, and then the whole shame cycle starts,
Mm-hmm.
Then it's just going to continue, and I'm going to loop again and try something new and then fail and loop again. So the big thing with this that really stood out to me was the lack of limitation. The only real thing is hit your macro numbers, protein, fat, carbs, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a numbers guy. So that was that side of it. I was like, okay, I can do, that's simple math. That's I just figure out what is really low on one and high in the other two in case I overeat on some fats. How am I going to make that up? So I have some rice and some chicken breast because it's low in fat and high in the other two. So all of that kind of made sense to me. It was more just the real commitment side that sort of shocked me. And it's because I went into it mentally before I went into it physically. I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to commit to this. And then I communicated that with you as well. So that having that support where you said it's going to be a bit of a shocker when you weigh yourself. So at the end of my first month, I was down 3 pounds. I've lost 12 pounds in a week. Several times.
But you lost body fat.
But I did. I lost 2 inches on my waist in the first month. And so if I went off of scale weight and how that made me feel instead of the facts.
It would have been discouraging, wouldn't it?
100%.
Yeah. Because it's not enough.
Yeah.
And we are in this instant gratification and already there mode, right?
Yeah.
Already there. Or a lot of people, I think, and you may be able to attest to this, when they start a new diet plan, they are already visualizing the end result.
Yeah.
And so they miss all of the pivotal things across this journey that are milestones. This time, it really wasn't different because of me. It was different because of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, you helped immensely with providing the information. And I love that your program is built around giving information because a lot of things, how I viewed myself was a perspective thing. I thought that my worth was tied up in my weight and other people didn't see that. My wife didn't see that. My friends didn't see that. They never made those connections, but I saw that. So I realized in order to change perspective, you have to educate. And that was one thing I never really did. I didn't educate myself about food and not just this is good and this is bad. And eat your vegetables and do all this at a super high level. It was really getting down into how does my body process food?
Yeah.
And then that's what I loved about your program is it made a lot of sense into that mentality of I can get way more information than I need from your program. You've got the Facebook meetings and you've got all the different lives about different things from sleep to it's a total package. It's not just a diet. It's not just
it's not a template.
Yeah, it's health in general, whether that be mental health, physical health, financial health, all the things that tie in that add pressure.
Yeah.
And all those pressures in one area might make you fail in one area.
That's true.
Getting more information.
Can you imagine having taken on both macro tracking and learning that system along with personal training? Or are you glad that you listened and waited until 60 days in to really look at that?
The big thing for me was having some kind of success. It's really disheartening when it's pretty easy to get pumped about something. I'm that guy, right? I'll go to 10 real quick.
Yeah, same.
So I get hyped about something. I go home, I start telling my wife about it. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna do this and this and this and this. And then I try and do it all at once.
Yep.
And then I fail. So with this, I had some success under my belt and my belt was smaller. So I had different things to really motivate myself. And where I needed that most was you have to motivate yourself in a way that doesn't give you an ego, but rather gives you some humility to say, you know what, I'm succeeding because I'm accepting that I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
And then I could go to the gym and I'm not going to load up 245s and try and bench it the first time I go to the gym. And even if I might do it, I'm probably doing it wrong. The potential to hurt myself. As soon as I hurt myself, my mentality is, oh, I'm a failure. I'm weak or some lie that I tell myself to stop me.
Or you would have probably gone back to, oh, now I can't eat as much food now because I'm not training and I'm not doing this. And so let me go down the crazy train and let my coach know that, you know, now I've fallen off. Because I do see people slide back like that when they get injured. I do see people build their whole world around everything being perfect. The diet, the training, the water, the sleep, the this, and people tend then to overcomplicate matters instead of looking at the pyramid and the hierarchy, macros and nutrition being the big base of the picture, then going to sleep, water supplementation, micronutrient intake, then training, and then all of the smaller things that you do that really don't matter much at all, well, and I think once you start to see that you can have success in the area that's been so mismanaged, all of the other areas start getting better and better.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't asked you about this before, but has your relationship gotten better?
Oh yeah. A lot of that has to do with how I view myself. If I don't have some form of love towards myself, it's a lot harder for me to show love to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So in my marriage, definitely, just the way I look at myself is giving me more confidence, which I'm just going to speak for my wife and say probably makes me a little bit more attractive rather than, frumpy fat Josh walking around the house. I hate everything. And it's really nice to be able to, wear some things and actually just finally care about myself as a human being.
Yeah.
And that's going to bleed into all of my relationships, my friendships, my work relationships. Yeah. I've become just more successful across the board because I accepted that it's way more about progress than it is about perfection.
Yeah.
And you can't achieve perfection, but you can achieve consistency.
Sure.
And if you get consistency, I don't need to be at my goal weight right now. I'm not even close. I'm about halfway.
Yeah. You add precision as you go.
Yeah.
You add precision. Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm exactly where I want to be because I'm working toward.
You never stop.
Yeah.
You're just constantly, every day, consistently doing the behaviors that over time will reap so much benefit.
Yeah.
It's like going to the ATM machine and putting $1 in every day. You're not withdrawing $1 every day.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a couple days that you miss, but you get right back on.
Yeah.
Putting the dollar back into the machine, right?
Yeah.
So he's a finance guy, you guys. He's a finance guy. I'm the fitness, the finance. We've got the family girls. We've got the, freedom people. But Joshua has a story too, because there were a couple areas of your life that were really mismanaged right alongside your health and wellness, right? When did you start to realize that these two things were also kind of a product of one another?
Well, it was because for so long I looked at it as fat loss rather than health and wellness. Mm-hmm. Once you factor in, okay, it's health and wellness, you have to include mental health in there. And I was very deep in commercial debt, useless. I didn't have a school. I didn't have a house. It was like credit cards and avoidable debt. Yeah. And the mental aspect of that, it puts so much pressure on every other aspect of your life. So if I'm walking around with basically just a giant shame trigger, even a slight misstep in my diet is going to ruin me. Mm-hmm. And there were times when it would not just stop me, but it would set me back. Yeah. So I've been, when I got married, I was the closest I've been to under 200 pounds since I was 12, and I was 202 when I got married. And then about 3 months after I got married, lost my job. And it was kind of in the downturn of the economy, and it was the only time I found it hard to find a job.
Those were rough times.
Yeah. And it hit really hard because we just paid for the wedding. We already had some debt. There were some things. Mm-hmm. And all of that kind of pressure, I gained 70 pounds in a year. And I didn't really notice that I was doing it. But again, it's the same thing with getting healthy. Mm-hmm. It's about the consistency. Mm-hmm. So if you fail one day, like failure is an event. It's not a person. You're not a failure. You can fail and not be a failure. So if you eat something that you don't think you should eat, or if you blow out your macros, or even sometimes you'll shortchange your fats and then you got to eat like a big fat bomb at the end of the night. So you get a pizza or a burger or something, and you might feel like a failure because maybe that's the food that was your shame trigger before. Yeah. You got to understand, it's that was that day. Mm-hmm. If you come back and you remain for the rest of the 6 days of the week consistent, then
what do we have? We have pretty much perfection without precision, right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, it's one of those things where, you have to ask yourself on a daily basis, was I perfect today? No. That's perfect. Yeah. Was I close? Yes. Okay. Well, Kelly's program allows me to be within 20%, right? Yeah. So if I'm at 10%, I'm really perfect.
You're killing it. Yeah.
But I'm not even at 100%, I still could be an 80 or 90 and the results are still tangible enough, and they might be slower some weeks, right? You've gone through time frames where for a couple weeks you didn't lose.
Yeah, we're just kind of staying.
Yeah, and we add a little more food, and depending on your goal, sometimes we take it away, and it gets to be that come and go thing. But you learn it, and what you realize is all those fluctuations on the scale, they don't really matter. And I think for you, more so than a lot of people that I've worked with, because you overcome such major obstacles with your dad,
mm-hmm.
you realize you can't take everything on all at once.
Yeah.
You take one thing on and you get really good at it, and then you move to the next.
Yeah.
And so once I found out about the debt as your coach and I'm listening, I'm like, no training yet. Let's let the finance guy perfect the numbers and have that feeling of accomplishment. And then let's move him to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah, it works.
It did. And now I'm so excited for your future because, like I said to you last night, I think you've only just begun.
Yeah. And I like that. There's motivation in that to know that I'm so much better than this watch was snug on me when I started.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna show you guys. This is crazy. So this is triple X. Go ahead and stand up. Yeah. And I'm gonna stand here, and you can see that this thing is double wide. It's crazy. And this is what he used to cover up in. Right, Joshua?
Yeah.
Is this your security blanket?
Well, this was actually even still kind of snug in certain areas of my body, which is...
Is it?
Yeah, when I put it on today, I just kind of chuckled, and I put on a sweater that I bought before that I had to wear like a cardigan, and I could zip it up, and I looked good in it. It was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joshua and I have an awesome connection because when we first met on the phone, because this is actually our first time that we have met in person this week, because he's Canadian and I'm American, we had a connection right away because we both went to Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'm anorexic. And, what was really neat about that is we weren't there for alcohol or drugs. We were there for hurts, habits, and hang-ups.
Yeah.
Right? And now it's so amazing to see someone, my brother here, moving forward in areas of hang-up. Yeah. Which I also have too, which most everyone has. I can't say enough about how much easier it was for me to coach somebody knowing that they didn't have an ego and they weren't going to fight me when I said, this is truly an issue.
Yeah.
Let's take this on first before we take on this because I know your areas of weakness, So.
I think it's tough for a lot of people too. For myself, it bothered me that my biggest struggle in life, even more than the debt, mm-hmm. was how I felt about my weight and the emotions that were tied up in that. Mm-hmm. So I knew people that had, if you look at it sort of on an even plane, whether their family split up or loss of a loved one or some trauma, mm-hmm. I didn't have any of that. I had a very stable and loving childhood, mm-hmm. but I was overweight. And mm-hmm. the comparison that I brought into it, the shame that came from my biggest problem in life is that I'm fat. I'm doing pretty good. That's kind of what I wanted to tell myself. But mm-hmm. you can't compare your problems to someone else's. Your problem is your problem.
Yeah.
And if you don't address it as your problem and don't acknowledge that it is important,
it'll take you with it.
Yeah.
It'll take you and all your joy.
Yeah.
And other people's joy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys, thanks for joining us. We'll get back to you with phase 2, and we're going to check in with Joshua next in a couple months. See how he's doing.
It's going to get weird.
And it's going to be weirder.